Welcome to Flat Earth Debate. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you have not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support this channel, there is a link in the info box or a super chat that runs alongside these shows while they are live. But most importantly, if you would like to join the debate, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box to join the discussion and express your views on the shape of the Earth. There are a couple of rules in the Hangout. Number one, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected. And if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show, as sharing the show increases the live audience, of course, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel. So please share the show. And one last time, if you are new to the channel or you have not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now we are joined by a couple of guests. We've got Sleeping Warrior, Ranty and Spurs. So Ranty, I think your mic's open. How you doing? Good to have you here.
Yeah, it's good to be here.
And how you doing, Sleeping Warrior? I think you were in next.
All is well. I'm a little bit sore after yesterday's expedition. So looking forward to keeping people up to date and settling a few wild accusations about something to do with Google Earth.
Cool. I'm sure we'll get to that swiftly. How you doing, Spurs? Yeah, Spurs. How you doing, Spurs?
Morning. Yep, and we still haven't found a satisfactory response to the ISS problem. So I hope we can address that at some point.
Definitely.
Yeah, it was awesome. I've seen the video. It's fantastic. I don't think it can be debunked. I mean, I was hearing last night that apparently they're saying that this other guy has downloaded the video that Red's put out, changed the contrast on it slightly, and played it backwards. Now, this is what they're saying. This is what they're saying that this has happened. I don't know how accurate that is, or whether you could recreate that and have a look.
Well, yeah, I did. I was showing a few people that, and they don't understand why he flipped and turned the image. So, I mean, I just kind of like left it for people to decide, really. I'm still looking for an answer, a plausible answer without.
Well, I think that's the answer that they're coming up with at the minute, is that this guy has ripped off Red's video, played it backwards, and then re-uploaded it as like a fresh observation.
Spurs, are you aware that Red's rhetoric was questioned about the credibility of that video by Mike Helmick?
I've heard, yeah, people are questioning the ISS in general, so people will kind of, question any ISS footage. But the contention for me was that it's going against the supposed rotation. So I think, it will lead into other things. If that can't be answered, then, what will that tell people?
Well, Mike's contention was that it didn't look real. And there was a back and forth. And in the end, I think Mike said that it might not be fake by Reds. He's not satisfied that it's authentic overall. As far don't quote my words exactly, but I believe that he was satisfied that Reds didn't fake it directly himself, but that it was faked by an external party, meaning like NASA or whatever it was that they were talking about. I think that the conclusion of it was that Reds didn't do anything wrong. That was the general, I think that's the way it went. But now we have this other video that's in contrast to it. And I agree, it appears. I mean, I saw snippets of the Hangout that you're in with Geo. Now, the way I saw it was that before Geo's input, it looked to me that the moons were pretty much orientated the same. But in Geo's Hangout, it looked that they flipped it 180 degrees. That's pretty much what Geo did? Is that right?
Well, yeah, I mean, they speak about field rotation, and I had a look at field rotation, and this is not what we're seeing in either the video.
Well, I asked him what was it that Spurs has missed, and he said that he didn't understand the difference between an azimuthal mount and ultimately the point was this: if the moon is orientated in the same position on both videos, and it looked as though it was to me, maybe 5 or 10 degrees out one way or the other, but it looked pretty much the same, and you would expect it to be the same in that part of the world because they were both in North America.
Mhm.
I know that they were like a few thousand miles apart, but relative to the size of the apparent Earth, then you're in the same area, so you would expect to see the moon in the same position.
Right.
Even if it was a month later, it would still be in the same position because I always see the moon at the same way round. I never see it upside down. Now, it appeared that Geo flipped the moon 180 degrees to make it match. Now, I didn't look at it other than to think, why is he even flipping it? Because it shouldn't even need flipping if they're both in the same part of the Earth, part of the country and the same part of the Earth. So perhaps you could tell me whether that was, did I get that right or wrong there? Because it looked to me that it didn't need flipping anywhere near as much as what Geo did. And I don't know the reason why he did it because I wasn't watching it, but that was the part I saw. Did he flip it too far or was it right?
Well, yeah, he can completely skew the picture. The Red's logo was in the bottom right. So Red's logo is a key to this because he's put it in the right position from left to right. Red hadn't put the logo in the top right-hand corner to suggest that he'd turned the camera around or anything had been changed. And Geo's, he's obviously said this can be debunked. And for me, it's not something that can be, it's not a debunking question. It's more, can you show the path and just explain? I mean, if you're just going to say, well, let's turn the picture around and there you go, now they're going the same way, that's not really going to be sufficient, I don't think.
Yeah, because saying something can be debunked and proving that it is debunked is two different things. Now, I mean, I get that it's not a gotcha kind of question from your point of view. I get that it's more a question. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, we're all dumb flat earthers, right? We're stupid. But I think you've got a valid criticism. I think that if it appears to go in the opposite way,
it should be a very simple thing to do. I mean, you can either use the moon as the Earth. Let's imagine it's going around the moon, or you can imagine it going around the Earth. It's up to the observer to decide the path, and then just show how the path would change from one direction and then another. Because it is very clear for me that they are going in two directions, and we're being told that they're not. You're not what you're. This is why I keep asking. I was speaking with Lewis yesterday, and he says,
Lewis.
Lewis. He says what you're looking at is not really what you're looking at. So
Yeah,
I was asking, what is the reality?
He's not one of the better ones to be speaking to. You'll end up more confused speaking to him, to be fair. You'd be better off speaking to somebody that's probably Reds, to be honest with you, because he's the one that's really into that kind of stuff. Ask him.
Well, Reds, he deployed Sean to give the answer.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, Reds just recorded it, and I don't think he was best placed to even explain what he'd recorded.
So
Sean
giving an answer?
Yeah, Sean was saying, I think he was spooking everybody. Oh, I have the answer. This is very simple. Spurs made a mistake. And I'm thinking,
Sean.
what mistake have I made? I've just made a video about the two things that I've seen. I haven't changed or altered any video. And they're saying that it can be easily explained away.
Well, all I'll say is that as far as I can see, I agree with you. There is a question there. And I disagree with Geo's rotation of the moon. It seemed to be miles more than what you would expect it to be based. And if I've got that wrong, Geo, then maybe you could show why. But when I saw you rotating it so that the Reds logo was like almost opposite where it started, I'm thinking that would never, ever be the case. If you're in a different part of the world, Singapore, maybe. But if you're in the same country, I don't see how that can be more than 1 or 2 degrees, maybe 5 on a bad explanation. But flipping it around as all that you did, I don't know how you can do that. So,
and I'm just going to finish final point here is that we're getting the road analogy of crossing the road. The people are saying you're standing on one side of the road and cars are driving by, you cross the road. Have they changed direction? Well, the question I asked back to that, well, where is the road between Red and Texas?
Yeah, there would be no way that you could cross the road, metaphorically speaking, in that example, because they're in the same country.
And they're almost in the same spot.
That would be relevant if one of the guys was in Australia.
Right, exactly. Or in South Africa, which we have seen. The moon is the other way around, supposedly, and the ISS goes in the opposite direction, which we expect to see. So this whole idea about stepping over one side, you would have to show where in Florida you would step over to where you would turn. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. You turn around, the moon is not it's behind
I
you.
agree with you. On face value, there is a question to be answered by the ballers, and it is, how can it be apparent that it seems to go the opposite way to the rotation of the Earth? They should both be the same. Now, if they're not both the same, somebody show us the model, the demo that shows how it's not. And I was listening to the part in Nathan's chat yesterday where Nathan was saying that if it doesn't go over, if the path of the orbit of the ISS does not cross over the North Pole or the South Pole, then that is a problem. And I agree, it is a problem, because that would flip the orientation of the ISS relative to the spin of the Earth and the tilt of the Earth, of course. But I agree, there does appear to be a question to be answered by the ballers, and none of them. I mean, Gio made an attempt the other day. I didn't see all of it, but I could hear by your tone that you weren't satisfied by his representations and demonstrations showing and explaining how it can be done. Now, if that's still the case, I mean, it could be the case that it was beyond you. I heard some of the critique afterwards, but it also could be the case that they failed to demonstrate to the satisfaction of a dumb flat earther. Now, the onus is on them to show it to the satisfaction of the dumb flat earthers. We're all thick. So you guys are the ones that have got the burden to prove your claim that the ISS can go both ways. It's your assertion. You've got two people that have shown the ISS, and it doesn't matter that one's Reds or the other guy is an unknown. What matters is you appear to have the ISS going the wrong way in relative to the rotation of the Earth. You appear to have. And we're all stupid, so perhaps you could show us. And at the moment, it doesn't appear as though anybody's shown it in a way that the dumb flat earthers can understand it. So that is a failure on their part. Even if they're right, they haven't presented it in a good enough way that makes it clear.
So we've got Iron Ricker. He's saying he has a demonstration. I mean, what is it? You should come in, right? There's a link there, I think. Yeah.
Is the amnesty still on? Are they still all protesting? I thought when Tim came in, that kind of lifted.
Well, I'm not too sure.
I mean, if he wants to speak about it, I mean, I'll be here, but I'll let you guys proceed. But that's basically it. That's basically we're looking for a video response explaining the path, going in two different directions, and yeah. So over to you, Ranty.
Yeah, I mean, John Watson made a very valid point. He seems to understand the observation with the tape, even though we haven't said anything about tape. We've literally just been talking about it in chat, and he said, so if you throw the tape measure out and down the hill, the height it says on the tape measure is going to be longer than the actual physical height, because you're actually going over an angle. So he got that before we even needed to speak about this. But that all comes into the trigonometry and stuff, but we're not going to get into that right now. Let's just say that Google Earth is pretty accurate with the elevation heights in that location. And yeah, we went along. The weather looks really good, didn't it, Anthony? Hello?
Sorry, I was making a brew. Having some breakfast.
Yeah. The weather looks really good. I mean, it was supposed to be clear, good visibility. Got there. Isle of Man was barely visible, was it? In and out, and then just completely in a whitewash. It was just gone.
And the thing is, if I said to you, Ranty, if you were a ball earther, and I said to you that we could, and I showed you the composite, and I said that composite was taken off that island. I mean, you know how far away it was? 30 miles is quite far. Yeah, you can see the top of the mountains and you can see the cloud cover and stuff, but you can't really see the haze because of the haze on the day. You couldn't really see anything below the upper peaks of the mountains, and it didn't get any better. It got worse. But if I said to you, if you were a baller, and I said that composite came from stood here looking out, would you have believed it?
On the evidence I saw yesterday, no. I mean, because the weather was really good, right? It was sunny. It appeared that you could see a long way, but realistically, it wasn't very good for what we were trying to do. It was just terrible.
It puts into perspective my original claim, which I have not changed from, and I still stand by. It was just a very clear day, and that's still my position, and my position on all points have not changed. Not changed at all. So all those people that claim that I've changed my position and that I'm making up new claims, I'm not. My claim is simple. It was a very clear day with a P900, and I could see stuff that we should not be able to see. A lot of stuff. That's the claim. So anyone that wants to misrepresent my words, you are bang up to date with it right now by listening here. as of today, my claim stands. No one's debunked it. There is a lot of stuff that we see that should not be seen. Not only is it stuff that we should not see, that should not be seen. Nobody's debunked it. It still stands, but I haven't changed my position. The only thing, Ranty and I went back to St. Bees yesterday because I was amused by the claim by the ballers that Google Earth has 30 meters worth of inaccuracy on the elevation. Well, 30 meters is 120 foot plus. Well, I was at 35 feet. So are you trying to tell me that Google Earth has got 30 meters of nonsense attributed to its elevation? It might have up a mountain. Say you're at 20,000 feet or something stupid like that, really high mountain. Yeah, I could see that being 30 meters out. But when you're at sea level almost, that ain't going to be 30 meters out because you'd have to be under the ground. That's nonsense. So based on that claim that this, even though it says it, does it mean that it's true? And I wanted to go back to measure the actual accuracy of Google Earth to dispel and to prove that in this instance, on this occasion, Google Earth is or is not accurate. And that's what we went back to do yesterday. And we'll tell more about it as there's more bums on seats. But right now, there's not enough bums on seats.
What's your conclusion? Is the figure that Google quoted accurate or wildly inaccurate?
It's accurate.
It's very accurate.
There we go.
This nonsense about 30 meters of elevation variation because of the way that they scanned it with the plane in the satellite position and all this nonsense is nonsense. Google Earth is accurate. I stand by it because it is your model, but now I stand by it because it is accurate. We've measured it. We can prove it, and when we get round to like presenting all the videos and all that stuff, then we'll show it. But right now, we will show, can prove, and have measured the height of the hill that the observation was taken from, and it is accurate with Google Earth.
Yeah, I agree. And, all we can say, I will say right now is that Miles Davis, when he went and did his video and said that he had his, he was sitting at 39 feet or 12 meters above sea level at that time. Absolutely ridiculous. We went and we measured that 27 feet. All this 39 feet, ridiculous.
Well, we're not going to talk about any numbers today.
Needs to go and revisit his own.
We're not going to talk about any numbers today.
Oh, no.
Because we're still in the middle of like putting things together because we only got back late last night. So we went to bed, had something to eat, went to bed, and then fresh up this morning. And we've only literally looked at them in the last minute or two.
We've got so much footage to go through, and there's so much shit that we don't need. Sorry, excuse my language. But yeah, I mean,
the only thing
work to do.
The only thing that you guys out there that are questioning this claim of 30 meters of elevation, it's 30 meters of elevation variance. It's nonsense. Google Earth is accurate. We're standing by Google Earth, and I stand by the value that it gives. For those that are of any doubt, the value on Google Earth was 35 feet. I'm standing by it. So for the sake of debate, we were giving you 55 for the top elevation for the whole of the conversation. We're not giving you that anymore. We'll bring all those calculations that were done on the 52 feet, we're bringing them back down to 35 because we've measured it. It's correct. It's accurate. And we're using 35. So all this nonsense that he was at 100 plus feet, 150 feet, could even be more than that. I think Lewis was quoted as saying that it could be. What did Lewis say yesterday?
Quite specifically, Lewis said 120 feet. In fact, I think it could possibly be more. Those were his exact words.
Well, all that nonsense, we measured it yesterday, and I'm dropping it from the 52 that we were giving you because it was the highest point that it gave you. They're coming back down to 35. You guys have got more than a mountain to climb, and you've got no evidence to support your position. We do.
There's a couple of outstanding issues, though. So there's two people out there that claim that you're considerably higher and went back and apparently measured it as well. So I'd like to know what they've got to actually back up their assertion that you're considerably higher than what Google says, as you've gone back and confirmed that the observation position is pretty much exactly what Google said it is.
Go on, Al K. okay, you can do this. And Miles Davis, show us this height that you measured so we can look. Can't
Well,
wait.
no, they didn't measure a height. If they did anything at all, they calculated it.
They guessed the height. He guessed the height where he was. Oh, I'm about 39 feet. And even, what was it he said? And that's, oh God, I can't remember what he said now. He's erring on the side of caution. That was it. He said, I'm going to put 39 feet in it and I'm erring on the side of caution. Utter tripe.
And wasn't it Miles that claimed that his diopter wasn't working on his phone?
Yeah.
I wonder why that might be.
Yeah.
Are you trying to tell me that Miles, when he tried to measure the height of it on his diopter app on his phone, for some magical reason, it wasn't working on the day? Are you trying to tell me that that wasn't because when he looked at it, he realized that it was nowhere near as high as what he thought it was, and therefore it shits all over his claim? Well, unfortunately, we have measured it. We will produce evidence, and once we've got round to catching up with all the because we did loads, we measured everything. But the key point that we're going to be staying on, and we're going to be pointing out to everybody, is that we gave you 52 feet for the highest elevation when we were referring to the composite. But actually, on Google Earth, it says 35. We're now standing by 35. Your 52 feet's long gone because it's massively over the top. So we've measured it credibly, repeatably, observably. Challenge anybody to go back and reproduce it, because in case we've got a funny tape measure with funny figures on it. But Miles, Al, you two both lied.
Yeah, but I just want to address something in chat here, Anthony. We've had a few people saying, so I thought you debunked Google Earth and Google Earth was wrong and now they don't have a working model. We didn't do that. You did it. You got to the point where after trying to debunk us because Google Earth didn't fit your assertion of height, you were then saying that Google Earth was wrong and that we needed to use other survey means to actually address the elevation heights. It was you guys that said Google Earth was broke because you didn't want to admit the heights that we were actually at. So you tore your own model apart. We proved it was accurate because we've never changed position on that. It's you guys that did this. We didn't do that.
With regards to the Ordnance Survey, no, we've measured it with a tape measure down to the beach. The only issue that then becomes is tide height. You can vary and play about with your tide height if you wish. I don't really care about the tide height because it isn't going to help you. So for those listening, 35 feet is now the new 52. 52 was the highest thing. That's what we were giving you for the void, just to give you a little bit of leeway, because we weren't sure how accurate Google Earth was. When the assertion was that it was up to 30 meters of inaccurate, I didn't like that assertion because I wanted to test how true it was, because I don't find it logical or reasonable to conclude that you can apply a 30-meter variation at something that's pretty much sea level. So I didn't like that. I wanted to go and test it. So what we did was we went back to the observation height with a tape measure that was 50 meters, I think it was. Yeah, 50 meters. Basically, we measured the hypotenuse. And once we got that, we measured our angle. And once we got that, we did the trig. And then we worked out exactly what the height was based on scientific formula. So you've all got a little bit of maths there that you can enjoy because we've done it. And I'm sticking with 35 feet because it's right. So Google Earth is accurate. It's not out by 30 meters. Because if you think about it, 30 meters is 120 feet thereabouts. That would mean we were below the water level.
Yeah, but they wanted to sell their own Google Earth up the river, deny that Google Earth was even a working model for them, all to debunk your height claims. That was the points that they were willing to do. They were sacrificing their own Google Earth for that, literally. And so now they've updated Google Earth. They want it back.
Yeah.
They want the working model back.
And the funny thing is, from Tarn 83, so you was at 35 feet. Yes, Tarn 83. Tarn 83. I was at the 35 feet point that Google Earth says. But we gave you 52 feet because it was the highest point on your model, because there was an argument by Jeremy that I couldn't possibly have been at that height. So because of Jeremy's arguments that I was at some other elevation, we gave you an arbitrary 52 because that's what Google Earth said, at the highest elevation, which is not where the composite was taken from. The video that's out there is the one next to the caravans, and Google Earth quotes you at 35 feet, or quotes me at 35 feet. The argument about whether it was accurate or not was placed on the table, and it gave a 30-meter variance. And I thought, absolute nonsense. Possibly at the top of a mountain, yeah. But at the bottom, at sea level, no way. You're not going to get anything like, you might get 5 feet. You're not going to get anything like meters. So I went back to test it.
We've got people in the chat now saying, how can Google Earth be correct and flat at the same time? That's a very good assertion. We're talking about the elevation profile of the Google Earth.
Let's be quite clear about what this has proven and what it has not proven. Number one, it is not proven that Google Earth represents Earth accurately. Far from it. Google Earth represents Earth as a sphere, and what the photo taken from the Isle of Man clearly demonstrates is that the Earth is flat. And what we have had is nothing but hassle and trouble in terms of lining up landmarks because Google wraps the flat Earth around a sphere, which it is not. What Google has demonstrated to be accurate is their elevation above sea level for a given location. That is it. They can get that reference from a flat plane. They do not need the world to be a sphere in order to have accurate elevations of anything. What they do need the Earth to be a sphere to have accurate representations of is where individual landmasses match up with other individual landmasses, and they do not. Fans out the landmasses. We've seen it. It fans them out, pushing things over to the left if you're on the left-hand side of 90 degrees to the square at Moorgold Lighthouse, and to the right if you're to the right of Moorgold Lighthouse. Everything's fanned out. That's the bottom line here. That's why the globers have had such terrible trouble trying to scale it. Google Earth is wrong. We do not live on a sphere. What it also proves is that everything in that image that we have identified as being a holographic projection of something that is clearly not visible on your sphere model, that also still stands as true as it ever did. It was actually true even if the height was slightly higher, but regardless, the height that is quoted on Google is an accurate representation of the height that Anthony was stood at. That's the bottom line here. Forcing everything that we see and can identify in the Isle of Man and necessitating the entire Isle of Man to be a holographic representation of something that is not there on your sphere. So, for those who keep telling me, why do you say it's holograms? I don't say it's holograms. I say we see the things in the picture of the Isle of Man because they are there and we can see them. Simple. No apologies required. For the globers, you must accept that you cannot see those things. They are not there. Now, I don't care what word you use. You can call it a mirage if you like, if it makes you feel better. I'm going to call it a hologram. I don't care what you call your fantasy. The reality is we see these things because they are there. We do not have anything blocked from sight because of a curved Earth, which is what Google Earth represents. Let's be clear. The Earth is not a sphere.
Ron still wants to believe that the Ordnance Survey is correct, and that Google Earth and two retards, i.e. me and Anthony, can't possibly be correct.
Well, You've measured it. So... I've seen the measurement. I can confirm they've measured it. I've seen the videos. It has been measured. It does confirm Google Earth. Tough. If you want to dispute it, go and measure it yourself.
Yes, exactly. Go on, Ron. You go and do it.
Now, the other thing I want to... excuse me. Nathan, if you'd share my screen a sec, please, if you wouldn't mind. I just want to be clear so that people that are new to this or that have been watching but are not quite... Maybe I'm not articulating myself correctly or accurately. I want to show exactly what the issue is. Are we on, Nathan? Yeah, we are. Right, so the triangle is where Miles spent his time, but my video was taken here, next to the second caravan. And that value, according to Google Earth, down here in the right-hand corner, is 35. 34, 35. And that's the value that I used in my video. I only used that video value because that's what it said on Google Earth. Okay? But because there was a massive, basically a crusade against me by Jeremy, he did not accept that value, and he's made it his one mission to try and discredit me at all costs by doing videos. And thanks for the videos, Jeremy, but I enjoyed them. They were funny. But as a compromise only, so that the debate could continue, we allowed and used 52 feet, which is the highest elevation of possible, when I was down here. Okay? And that was my only concession for the sake of debate. That wasn't.
Can I just add one little point there? So in both, just one little point I just want to add. So in the video that has been used to create the composite of the Isle of Man, it has a clear defined position. And the way that has been done is by Anthony rotating the camera all the way to the right to take in those caravans. So, the picture is indisputably taken from that location. This has also been confirmed by Miles Davis in the short little tiny snippets of video he likes to release.
Yep.
It's the same position that Miles Davis went to. It's the same. So we know this location unequivocally is there. And that position where the mouse pointer, if you can just circle it, just so people can see where your mouse is, right? That is where tape measure's been run down, and it does confirm Google Earth to be accurate.
Now, Jeremy has done video after video because he simply cannot accept that I was at the value claimed by Google Earth. Now, let's be clear. This is not my value. Excuse me. This is not my value claimed. It was the value claimed by Google Earth. So all I've done is use the value that they put, right? So that is not dishonest in any way. It's just what every ball earther would, every flat earther would do, because that is your model. Now, I put that value in, and because of the ruckus that it caused and Jeremy's subsequent videos and accusations that I was lying and all this nonsense, when it became clear that their position was there's 30 meters of elevation variance, 30 meters is 120 plus feet. So are you trying to tell me that for some reason this now 120 feet elevation applies to this 35 feet observation height? Is it heck? But this 30 meter elevation variance was bandied around by the ballers to try and push my observer height right up. No. So I thought, I'm going to go back and measure it. So what I did was, me and Ranty yesterday, we went back, we tossed the tape off, we measured the angle, and we measured the distance. And the distance from the top there down to the beach is a set, fixed. You can't change the value. It's fixed. We know that. And we've got the angle. Now, where it's interesting is Miles has got a video out right now that says that he's about to release his next video. And his next video is going to be dealing with the height. So I want Miles and Al Kay to put their video out there and let's see what their claim is. Because I can tell you now, it won't be measured. It'll be calculated. It'll be using some kind of diopter or some nonsense like that. This is measured. So the value from the top of the cliff down to the beach is now measured. It's accurate. It can't be argued with. It's set in stone. It's fixed. It's indisputable. It's totally and utterly in our favor, in Google Earth's favor, and massively against the ball. So at the moment, we won't be releasing any videos because we're going to put the ball into Miles and Al Kay's court, and we're going to see what they come up with.
I'd also like to add Gem Panda to that list, because Gem Panda has been the strongest advocate for your height being incorrect. You know, other people have got on the bandwagon, the stupid people like Lou, who don't really understand the problem, but there are people out there that have supported Gem in his endeavour to discredit you based on the observation height. And the observation height matches what Google says. So I'd like to know what Gem's response to this is, because he's made a lot of assertions and called you a liar a lot of different times.
Well, I can tell you now that Jeremy is such a wimp, right? He is a coward, that he will not be man enough to admit that he was A, wrong, B, malicious, and C, calculative against me. He's formulated a one-man war against me that's got a little bit of traction because Miles has jumped on it too. And Miles has got claims that he's about to make, and he's probably right in the video making it right now. And I've seen his first couple of videos. But you're right, Jeremy has got to respond, and he isn't going to respond because he's a coward. Miles is going to have to do a response, and he won't respond because he's a coward. But when we get our video out, we've got some key quotes from Miles saying things like, but you've got to produce evidence and you've got to be accurate with your height. And then when we do be accurate with the height and show how accurate Miles was, he's going to be eating his own words. So I'm looking forward to what Miles and Al Kay produce in the next couple of days.
Yeah. I was going to say that should be more the important. I don't think we should really focus on any one individual. I mean, people from the sidelines are going to be shouting liar, it's a fraud, but the most important thing, I think, is people like Miles and Al, who have actually been out there. We'll get people like Gem Panda, like that Lewis, who are one of the biggest advocates of the ball. So they're going to protect it tooth and nail. So I mean, for me, that's normal. So I don't think going after anybody individually like that we'll just be doing what the borders do, basically. But I think Miles has a lot to answer for, and Al, they have a lot to answer for. So they've made claims that they've been there, they've produced footage and whatnot. So that's what we should be calling for, I think, anyway.
And let me just respond to this message in chat. Quote, at no point did Riley care about discrediting educated people like Paul and Rumpus. Why should he not be treated like he treated others? Well, I'm educated as well. Not in a discipline that's relevant too much per se to flat earth, but discrediting people based on facts, based on evidence, is way more powerful and more persuasive on all counts than it is talking nonsense about refraction for 25 minutes and not mentioning once that it bends light up as well as down. So seeds of doubt, I've treated them with the scorn that they deserve based on their lies, often by omission, about the shape of the earth, the physics that goes into proving it, and the nonsense that they regurgitate to us that we are expected to accept because they're supposed to be educated people. Well, guess what? I'm also educated, and I know when someone's lying, and I know that these people are lying. And I thought, when they claimed 30 meters of variance on their elevation, I thought, right, I'm going to go and test that. So now I have the evidence, right? It is beyond doubt. But I'm going to wait for Miles and Alkay to commit themselves to committal. Because once they commit themselves to committal, we won't be seeing them two liars again. Because the liars, it's literally liars. So right now, I'm happy. Let's wait and see what Miles and Alkay say. And then we'll produce it. And it will be beyond doubt. It's measured.
As for Paul Voigt, I would say, a lot of these people are fantasists in terms of what they represent, what they tell you. They're fantasists, and they'll admit it. So in one of the debates, I think it was number 92, something along those lines, Paul Voigt essentially explains that he has no evidence that this island is looming in its entirety in perfect scale, but it has to be because the Earth's a ball. In other words, it's only a hologram because in his world it has to be a hologram. No evidence, no proof, just an assertion and a belief. That's all these people have. And that makes them either religious zealots or fantasists, to take your pick, because that's what that means. If you're just going to assert that something has to be that way because of your dogma, then you're a fantasist or a religious zealot.
Thought I'd been kicked then.
Surprising few people joining from the ball side today. I wonder why.
Well, they're on protest again, aren't they?
The link's broken. I don't think so.
It is what's going to happen, right? With regards to the ballers that do or do not join, they're not going to be joining right now because all of a sudden that protest will have gained more weight to it and people will be standing by it vehemently, even though Tim came in the other day and kind of broke ranks. So whether Tim did that for his own political reasons, probably did, is irrelevant. The fact is, no one's going to come on because they know that we went back and we've measured it to test a claim about 30 meters of variation on Google Earth. And they know that it isn't. So in the past, when we gave you the 52 feet of observer height, no. All the maths has been done on 35. All the maths is being done on 35. So gone are the days where you guys were given 52 because of the arguments about the observer height. No. We're putting 35 because that is accurate. It is tough. Don't like it? Go and prove it wrong. We've got it measured. We've done a little bit of trig for you, and it is your trig. It's your maths. It's your science, and your science is showing that not only is Jeremy wrong to be attacking me, and for Miles to be wrong and lying about his observer heights on all of his videos so far, and for Al Key to be producing the same content rubbish. All you fantasists are disingenuous. You're all lying, and half of you don't even realize that you're lying because you're too blindfolded, blinkered, and bigoted with your own views of your own religion. You can't possibly accept that the alternative might be the case. You can't do it. The simple fact is, it is measured. It is accurate. We will be using it, and it is your model. Unfortunately, we shouldn't be seeing a lot of that stuff. So Mako Lighthouse, when we gave you the 52 feet of observer height, it's down to 35. In fact, actually, I'm going to do that right now. So that this compounds your problem massively. So let me just flick my screen back on when I can find it. Where's it gone? There it is. So quick presentation time. Nath, let me know when it's on.
Yeah, you're on.
Okay, so the from the observer height of 35 feet, which we are now sticking to, gone are the days we're 52, so we're going to have to redo all our maths, and so are you guys, because that is the position now. So the observation of Mackle Lighthouse at the claimed distance by Google Earth of 31.51 feet. Let me get up thingy there. So 31 metaflunk. Distance in miles, 31.5. Viewer height was 52, but we're now using 35. That means that if you're going to use refractive hidden, 320 feet below, that's how much is hidden. Mackle Lighthouse is only 220. And that not only is it hidden by incomplete, it's completely hidden. It's now got an extra 100 feet of obscuration by the curvature of the Earth. And that's if you use refractive hidden. So that causes you guys massive amounts of problem. So unless you're going to send somebody back there to measure that thing, the triangle to get the height of the observer at the 35 feet mark where the video was taken from, you guys haven't got any evidence to support the argument that in some way it's wrong.
It doesn't help them at all. I mean, even when they had you forced all the way up to 120 feet, I think with the fudged maths using the Leisure Ordnance Survey map, they managed to bring the tippy top of the lighthouse back once with fudged maths on both sides of the observation and target. So it's meaningless. You know, they were screwed before, they're screwed now. They couldn't win on the maths when they were fudging the figures. Now the figures are more accurate. Well, not more accurate, actually. From our side, nothing has changed. Literally nothing has changed. Everything is exactly as we've always said. Nothing is any different. All that now stands is the constant criticism from people who haven't gone and measured it and don't really know and are content to call you liars. So that's why I was saying, well, you know, let's see what they've got to say. It's been measured. It's proved that Google's basically accurate. What have you got to say for yourselves, all those people that say it's 100 feet plus? Come on, what's your response?
So obviously, Lewis thinks that it could be upwards of 120 feet. Is that right, Nath?
That's what he told me yesterday on Discord.
So Lewis on Discord thinks 100. Like, let's see what the effect is of 120 feet. So we're looking at on their model at 320 feet. So we're going to change that to 120, and it drops it down to 165. That's how much of a difference it makes. Okay, it is measured, and it is 35. We stand by what your model says because it is accurate. We're standing by 35. That puts it massively out of reach. You fantasists have lost it. There is no way you guys, unless you can send somebody up there with a magic tape measure for a bit of magic maths, maybe you should send Paul Voigt up there because he can do magic maths. Send him up there with a magic tape measure and see what he comes back with.
I will at this point point out, sorry, Ron Burgundy in the chat saying a surveyor would take a theodolite and get it much more accurate. And I keep saying to him, yes, he would get it lower than the measurement that's been taken. So in essence, what's been, in terms of a physical number on a piece of tape with, you know, nothing that needs calibrating, it's a tape measure. You know, it's been thrown down the hill, and obviously that's going down at an angle. So it's not going to give you the exact drop. It's going to be considerably higher than the exact drop. But it's a physical number on a tape measure that we can quantify. It's a real thing. So if you want to argue with that, that's fine. But realistically, you're going to have a struggle to convince anybody when there's literally a physical measurement been taken.
And Ron Burgundy's now just put himself into the mix. He claims that he's measured it 2 hours ago. 120 feet, prove you wrong. Ron, do you really, really want to be brought into this? Because if you stand by that sentence, you're going to be brought into it. Every time that we mention Jem Panda, Miles Davis, and Al K as liars, you're going to be brought into it too. So I'm going to give you a chance.
That's a good idea. Give him the option. Okay, yeah. Ron, do you now? Literally now that we've told you that the tape measure's been run down it, want to say that it's 120 feet? Because I'm more than happy to do that too. We'll bundle you in with Jem Panda, Miles Davis and Al K, who are going to be labelled as, you know, just bastards out there to smear people for no reason whatsoever, other than for their belief and for their dogma. But if you want to be bundled in with these people, then, you know, fine. Let's just stick your stamp in the chat now and say, yeah, I did really measure it. It is really 120 feet. Let's see what you got to say.
So he says, stand by that as much as you stand by 34 feet. No, that didn't answer the question, Ron. The question is...
How high was he, Ron? How high was he?
No. The question is, Ron, you have the chance to retract your previous statement. Do you retract your previous statement or will you stand by it?
He's starting to bandy words already. Yeah. Okay, Ron. We'll assume that you're not going to dedicate yourself to anything certain. Anyway. No spam, please, in the chat. Ron Burgundy, 100 feet. Okay, Ron? Cool.
Okay. So
Nice.
Ron, so now it's Miles Davis. So I've got it screen capped, Ron. We'll show it. So you can be linked in with Miles Davis, Al Kay, Germ Panda. You can be banded in with all these people that are actual liars. You can be one of them too.
Yeah.
Okay. Seems reasonable to me.
Yeah, you're a liar, Ron. We know you're a liar.
Yeah, you're a liar, Ron. Anyway.
Oh no, he's even lowered it. He's just lowered it at least 65 feet. You're a liar, Ron. You haven't measured it. You've just lowered your figure, so you're clearly a liar before we've even gone anywhere. You're also misleading the audience by telling them it's a considerably higher figure than it actually is. So you're a liar.
It says depends on the exact spot he was at.
Yeah, we know the exact spot. That's where the tape measure has run down. You moron. Are you deaf?
Well, let's just play the video and show Ron, for the benefit of just Ron, exactly what was the height and the location. So, not that one. Do you remember what number it was, Nath? 34, was it? 54. That one. I think it was. No, it wasn't that one.
Yeah, I think it's 54. Do you know, Ranty, the one that's actually published that we took the composite from, what number it is on Anthony's hard drive?
It's the one.
I think it's the one in the middle.
Right at the beginning.
54. I think it's 54. Not that one. The one in the middle.
No, it's not 54.
Oh, no, let's not do this. Please.
I'm just trying to find the one with the
I don't want you to go through 5 videos that are wrong.
It's that one there, isn't it? 55.
Could be. Let's try that. 55.
No, maybe it's 50. It might be 54. I can't. No, the video that's already public. I'm trying to show. I just can't remember which one it is that starts off with the caravans. Right.
Look at it on your rather than getting it from the hard drive, just get it from your computer, because the only thing you from YouTube.
Is this the one? Is this where the composite came from? Oh yeah, it is. Is it? I think this is the one where the composite came from. Or maybe not. I can't remember. I'll have to find it. But the composite came from the second. It was alongside the second caravan.
It's quite important though. Can you just go to YouTube, because that's the published video that's been used.
Okay. Ooh, new label there when you're live. I've not seen that before. My videos, where is it? That's it there. Oh, that's not the unedited one, but nonetheless, it is the one there. Yeah,
it's got the beginning bit where it shows. Here we go. Perfect. So this is the location. You can't dispute it. There's Anthony's shadow. And from this point on, we have the observation. This is where the composite's been taken from. This has been published for quite some time. It's had 5,000 views. Just under.
Well, Joey Dacker's done it, and other people's done it. It's had like 80,000 views.
Right. So this is the observation. There's no doubt about his position. And joined by Chris. How you doing, Chris?
Doing well. Just a second.
How did he sneak in? I didn't see him coming. Let me now knock this off.
So can you just show us one more time, just the beginning bit with your shadow, because that's the bit that ties down your location unequivocally.
You didn't know I'm sneaky, Mary Riley?
Yeah, I didn't see you sneaking.
There we go. This is the spot. This is where the observation's been taken from. This is where a tape measure was thrown down from. This is it.
So there's the path that I walked up to get to this 35 feet of observation height. And this is me at 35 feet. And this is what I can see at 35 feet. And we gave you 52 feet just for the maths. We now take that back and we put in the 35 feet that Google Earth says it is, because it is accurate.
I think Chris incorporated it into the sea level on the maths. You did actually take into account sea level, did you not, Chris?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, yeah. The lighthouse is at its proper elevation and all that. Yeah, the camera was at everything was relative to sea level. Well, in the one I did was more to the surface of the ball, actually.
Yeah, it really doesn't make a huge amount of difference. I think it's what, 20, 25 foot tide. But when you're talking about,
well, that's the discrepancy, right? When I the model I did was based on the surface of the ball and the elevations of drop and all that stuff. So that's why it failed.
yeah, when it's wildly inaccurate based on the ball failing, it doesn't. The tide becomes moot.
Well, yeah, the tide does become moot because it would need to be like, it would need to be a tsunami for it to be even capable potentially of doing what it does.
You'd need one of those soundly tides, wouldn't you? Those magical soundly tides that block everything from the bottom up.
Yeah, you would need crazy amounts. It's as far as I'm concerned, all this nonsense that Miles and Al are putting out there, and it's supported by Jeremy. They're just delusional freaks of nature that will not accept evidence contrary to their opinion, and at all costs they will put their own name on the line in the name of trying to discredit me. Well, to be honest, it motivates me because at the end of the day, I know what I did and I know what was shown. And if there's parts of it that people aren't that happy with, I have no problem going back there. I don't want to go back there. It is a 2.5 hour drive, but I have no problem going back there, and I will go back there. So when somebody makes the claim that there's a 30-meter elevation variation, and then they take from that the biggest possible value of 30 meters of elevation variation to support their narrative, and then claim that I was in some way 120 plus feet above, it's nonsense. So Lewis,
what I find, like the model I did, I just want to make that clear to everybody too. It was based on the ball mathematics and the actual size to scale, right? So when I start the camera and the observer relative to the lighthouse at top dead center and then rotate backwards to the 31 miles of your observation point, you actually physically drop 611 feet, give or take. Right, and then you have to look backwards down to a fictional horizon and through 170 feet of water to see anything.
Yeah, so what you're saying is that when we move the distance back, if you keep the camera perpendicular to the Earth, which is what we should be doing, the elevation is far worse. Mick West on his calculator angles it down to the horizon to reveal more, but that isn't what we're supposed to be doing.
Right, because the camera actually has a physical drop, like the drop value of 600 whatever feet. It is a physical drop, right? Then you have to angle the camera down to look through the water to see an object, which would be a straight line to your feet, essentially. And
so how does
you physically have to be able to look through 170 feet of water to see anything? So basically, anything below 170 feet, you're not going to see it.
Chris, would you be in a position? I know this is like on the fly and ad hoc, and I don't mean to drop you on the spot, but would you be able to demonstrate the difference between the 52 feet that we based it on, dropping down to the 35 feet? Are you able to demonstrate that now? If not, just say it's fine. I don't really expect you to, but it would be cool if you could show them the difference between the two observation heights on their model.
Oh yeah, I could do that. Yeah.
Excellent.
Cool.
Okay,
I wasn't expecting that to be the answer.
Carry on there. I'll open up the model and
sure.
Yeah.
So boys and girls that believe in that we live in this nonsense called a ball, what we're now going to show you is by changing the observation height from the 52 that we gave you for the sake of a concession so that the debate could continue down to the actual height of 35 feet that is accurate on Google Earth. This is the effect it now has on your ball. And what that means is that Mackall lighthouse is going to drop further behind it. And we're now going to show you on your model the visualization of what it would actually do. So it changes things badly. It's not just a number anymore. We're now going to be able to show you the visualization.
I think what's interesting to note as well with these debates is the fact that your position never changed on the elevation heights. You only conceded to move the debate forward, but you only conceded to say, but you still made sure to note that you weren't agreeing to that. You were still sticking with Google Earth.
Yeah.
What's been very interesting is that the ballers have been willing to sell their Google Earth, like selling the mother, you know, literally selling Google Earth to go back to Ordnance Survey and do all this to prove you wrong.
Yeah.
This is the point that, I mean, this is the type of people that we're dealing with. And now that we validate Google Earth, they want to have Google Earth back. It's like, how can you pawn, you know, you Google Earth for a time and then come back and want it back and pay for it back? Where's your, you know, you've made all the concessions. You've done everything that they've asked, but you've always stuck to your guns. They're the ones that have changed all the time.
Yeah. And fundamentally.
Yeah, they've literally changed their position so many times to try and win an argument on a particular day. So it didn't matter what they were selling or what they were giving away on that particular debate or day. It was all to try and prove you wrong.
Yeah.
So just before Chris does his presentation, I'm going to do a quick link as we're coming up on approximately 1 hour left on this live stream. So if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. If you would like to support this channel, there is a link in the info box below this video or a super chat that runs alongside the show while it's live. But if you'd like to join the show, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box to join the discussion and express your views on the shape of the Earth. There are a couple of rules in the Hangout. Number 1, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected. And if you are, please don't try to rejoin using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show, as this increases the live audience and that in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel. One last time, if you're new to the show or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. There is about 1 hour left on this broadcast.
So in chat, what do we see? Nothing obvious there. All right, so while Chris is getting himself set up, I know I just want to bandy this home as many times as humanly possible so you can all quote me on it. It's measured. Google Earth is accurate for the purposes of this demonstration. So all this nonsense about 100+ feet, even at 52 feet, nonsense. We gave you as a concession so that the debate could continue 52. But I always said that I'm sticking to it. Some doubt was created when the suggestion was that it might not be as accurate as what it was, as what it seems. And evidence was presented to the case to support that assertion. So then the question became, well, how accurate is it? So I wanted to go back and see. But that was because evidence was presented that made it a little bit less watertight, a little bit less certain, a little bit less clear. So based on that evidence, I wanted to see. So I went back, tape measure over the side of it, measured the angle, boosh. Guess what? It stands. We're having Google Earth at 35 feet because that's the height. It makes it ridiculous for you guys to argue anything about ball. So all those arguments that we had with Rumpus and Paul, they were all based on 52 feet, the higher elevation point, because I wasn't prepared to concede anything more because there was no evidence to support it. All those arguments were all based on 52 feet. But if we bring them back down to the 35 feet that they actually are, that makes it even worse for these idiots, because the amount of refraction that's required and the amount of curvature that's required now to bring these things back is nonsense. It really makes these items that they're going to be calculating for to identify even more brilliant. And I'm looking forward to Rumpus presenting what he thinks of the lights that are on the far left-hand side of the image, the 3 or 4 lights on that end, because wherever he calculates them, even worse. And it means that Rumpus is going to have to become one of these fantasists that Nathan likes to describe them as, because it is a case that they are being fantasial. Fantasy is nonsense. It's like Father Christmas. It's not true. But you guys can't discern the difference between reality and nonsense. You think that nonsense made or told to you by people in white coats and glasses on and a beard is somehow credible and therefore should be considered true and is true, and you don't criticize it.
Nothing wrong with beards, right? Just chill out.
Hey,
You
I
might-
like beards.
how you doing? You go ahead, Chris. You're up. I've got you
Try,
displayed.
what do you want to do here? You want to do 52 feet, or do you want to go down to 34 feet, or what do you want to do?
Drop it down to 35. From 52 down to 35.
152 down to 35 feet. All right.
I'm just trying to get back to my screen.
How you doing, John? Good to have you here.
My screen.
How you doing, John? Good to have you here.
My screen.
How you doing, John? Good to have you here.
John Johansson's just. Oh,
Can you hear us, John?
he's gone. He's gone.
How is he?
If you are going to join, please make sure you speak up quick. Otherwise, we'll assume that you're a troll and you're here just to cause trouble, which would be the case right now because we're about to show something that's important.
All right. So, well, the camera here is this little tiny blue dot. Basically, that's the point above the surface of the ball, which would be sea level in the globe model. That's the point of elevation of the observer's eyeball, essentially. Then this is the land that the lighthouse sits on. It's 84 feet to the bottom, and it has a 75-foot lighthouse sitting on top of that. So that's the total height that we're trying to find. And then we just take the camera, which is now, its location on the x-axis is 0, and y is 0, obviously. Elevation is 35 feet.
So
And rotate it backwards on the ball to 31 miles. Rotate on the x-axis. Back to, let's see, rotate x. Keep going. Make sure that up from the top end here. Z. From the top. We're on the fly here, so make sure I get it lined up.
So I'm hoping that we're going to get to see where the wall of water changes from 52 down to 35, and it flicks that wall of water up that little bit higher to show the importance and the significance of being a fantasist with regards to how much is being brought back from behind the curve of the Earth due to this nonsense fiction called refraction.
Make sure we're all top dead center. 0, 0. Rotate on the x-axis, going backwards to the location of 31 miles. 31.5-ish.
Lottie, you can't join.
Can actually
So
join
now your level line of sight would be, way up here.
Do you think you can trust your eyes?
So you'd be looking hundreds of feet above the lighthouse. Now,
You can't
actually
trust
angle the camera.
It's cutting off half the island now.
Well, yeah, that's what happens, right? So if we find our target again and we see, okay, well, I still want to come back and try to find that target. Put the camera down. The target's in view. It's behind this wall of water.
So are you able to show it so that it's at the 52 feet and the mind you, I suppose once it's behind anyway. So
I was going to say we've already seen it at
Well, it don't
the
matter. I mean,
higher value on
that
all
little
the
bit of
demonstrations.
difference. The difference of your starting elevation when you go back to your location between 52 feet and 34 feet would be minuscule. At that distance, you're talking inches of change probably. I can do it again though. We can go back. Right, so there's your
before you
water.
just before you do, can you just turn the wall of water on and off just so we can see where the lighthouse sits in relation to it on the top image? There we go. Perfect.
Right there.
That's how much.
Right.
That's
So
your
that
wall
would
of
be-
water in the way.
Yeah.
and that is a problem.
That would be a problem. Yeah.
Yeah. So anybody who now asks the question, why do you say it's a holographic presentation? Well, that's why, because you can't see it. So for us to see it, it needs to be holographically projected up from behind that wall of Earth.
So we can try it again. We'll go back and let's take the camera back. The observer goes back to top dead center on the ball. Let's see. So we'll move the camera back to top dead center. Make sure we start out level again at 90 degrees, parallel to the center of gravity. And you wanted to go up, that was at 34 feet, so we'll go up to 52 feet, you said? With the second try?
Sure. And that was the concessionary figure that we calculated on just to get the conversation going.
Do you want to try 100 feet?
No, I don't want to. I don't want to confuse them. All I want to show
Okay.
them is that we gave them 52 feet for the sake of discussion, and now we're removing that 52 feet from all of the discussions, and it makes it a whole heap worse.
Put the cursor back to the ball. Grab our camera again and go back again to 31 miles.
Ron Burgundy, have you got any evidence of your claim that Monk copied text from a scientific paper, pasted it as his own writing without any reference, and added some FE conclusion that was not in the text? I'd love to see your video of evidence supporting that allegation of fraud, Ron. Without any evidence whatsoever, I don't know, Nathan. I think that guy deserves banning unless he can prove his claim.
Wouldn't it be plagiarism?
Plagiarism, yeah, fraud. That's what he's asserting. But without evidence to prove that to be true, Ron, you don't deserve to be even in the discussion. In my opinion, I would support Nathan banning you just because you've been an absolute imbecile.
I plagiarize books to impress women at Harvard bars.
Referenced or plagiarized? Documented and published as your own would be plagiarized.
Yeah, plagiarizing would be if you're actually using it in a scientific paper and publishing it as your own writing for some sort of magazine, etc., etc., etc. Copying and pasting reference data from any source in a public discourse rather than classifying.
So Ron claims that this old thing that happened months ago, Miles Davis found the paper, you imbecile. Are you really going to cite Miles Davis? He's a known liar. He's lied numerous times, and he's a vitriolic troll. Anything that
there
comes
you
from
are at 31 miles.
anything that comes from him is dropped.
Hold on, before you get into the debate about the trolls, Chris is doing the actual demo that proves the Earth is flat.
So 31 miles on the x-axis again, and now your drop has only changed between 611 was, I think, our original drop. Now your drop has gone from that value down to negative 609 feet at 31 miles. And the lighthouse is still far behind the walls of water by hundreds of feet, right? And if I pointed the camera down again, like we did before, to be center of frame approximately. Somewhere handy there, so roughly center of the picture. You still have to look through that much water to see the lighthouse. Physically.
It's a hologram.
Here, see my, well, yeah, your line of sight here. I mean, this isn't super sensitive here, but like one click at that distance of rotation on the x-axis will change it. So there, now on the bottom, you can see that our center of the camera. So this is your focal plane right here. that's what you call the focal plane of the optics you're looking through, is now looking dead on the center of this lighthouse on the bottom screen. That's the lighthouse. So that's where it would be in physical reality on a ball, which is behind that much water.
That's a whole lot of water to be behind.
Well, yeah, unless you have X-ray vision, if you're like Superman eyes and you can look through walls and stuff, you could see it, no problem.
Do you know what I'm now going to do?
No problem.
I'm going to go back to the height of them. I'm going to measure the distance to those lights that are down the left-hand side. And I'm going to see what the effect is in regards to the lights that they want them to be at, on that edge of Baldrine. That's where they really want them to be. I'm going to see what the effect on them houses are, because that does change things significantly because they're further away. It also means that Balacanel isn't going to be seen at all on your map.
So I can stop sharing this now. That's the idea. You're looking at something else. All right, okay.
Right.
That was very good on the fly, Chris. Well done.
Well, so thank you for showing the wall of water that was bigger than the wall of water that it was before, that was blocking Mako Lighthouse. It's difficult to show how much of a difference there was, but nonetheless, it makes things significantly worse down the other end of the island with regards to the three lights. In fact, I'm not actually, Nath, let me just present my screen. I want to show people this because this becomes even more important for Rumpus's nonsense.
Well, that's the thing, right? You shouldn't see any lights whatsoever, let alone the lighthouse. I mean, you shouldn't see the lighthouse. You shouldn't see anything at, water level on the ball model at that distance there, unless it's at least, whatever it is, at least 178 or whatever the hidden value is high. So unless it's physically at that elevation, it should be far out of sight, right? So impossible.
With the now reliable, confirmed and verified observer height of 35 feet, we can now put in these lights that appear to be. I'll have to get the composite up and show you the composite. Shut the door, please. So, oops. Right, these lights are the contentious issue. I was asked by Tim the other day, what evidence would I accept to dismiss this observation? And the answer to that question is, what are the lights that are evidence on screen? There's 3 lights on screen, and Rumpus claims that he can calculate the identity of any of the lights on this picture now, and he's done it twice, and he's had to change his position twice, and now he's doing it for a 3rd time on Geo's channel. I believe it's sometime today. And I want to know what the ballers think that these lights are. We already have them and have had them for weeks. But the ballers are asking for more and more time, or taking more and more time whilst they fudge their maths. Now, the distance, according to, and if we're assuming that the distances are correct, the last time that I think that we were talking, or the concession that I was prepared to have was that you could have these lights that are on this ravine here. They've been trying to make them these lights that are over here somewhere, and I've said that, well, there's a whole town called Baldrine missing in the evidence. So unless, let's flick back to the evidence, unless the town of Baldrine is shown in the evidence, you cannot have it. Now, I'm not totally against this being Baldrine, because Tufted Trees is there and the lights are there. So I'm not totally against that. And if that was the case, you would have Baldrine there, and then Tufted Trees is just in the background somewhere. But then you could have, I'm not totally against it. This was the concession that I was prepared to agree to, if they agreed that this point here was the point that was, where is it? This point here. So if this part here was agreed by the ballers to be this part here, then I was quite happy to go with this, because it does seem to be a match. So if these lights that are here, and this isn't my position, this is my second choice, this is not my first choice, but this was the concession because it did appear to match, then we're left with some maths to do here. So
just a question there, while you get that on the screen there.
Yeah.
Is the elevation of those at least 324 feet?
346 feet.
Plus the difference between them and the water line.
Well, that was what I was getting at.
The ones down to the right hand, like the ones down on the right hand side there, right?
Hello, Renee.
Yeah. Like the lights of that town at sea level right?
Anthony, have a look at the message from Paul. You might want to read it.
Where's the message from?
Paul is a part of that troll group. Like, you see this troll here in the chat?
Anthony, you may want to rethink that claim of 35 observer here. Well, we have rethought it, Paul. We went back and measured it, and I stand by and I assert that Google Earth is accurate. So I am standing by 35 feet, Paul, because we've measured it.
Your impression of Paul is accurate.
I have requested accurate surveying data from the St. Bees local council. Whoopie-doo. Are you sure you want to be exposed as a liar? Bring it on, Paul. Bring it on. I stand by every part of the claim that I've made, and I change none of it. I reassert my height, not from 52 that I gave you for the debate to continue, Paul. I am now bringing that back down to 35 because it's been measured.
Yeah. Hello. Can I ask a few questions? Is that possible?
Sure. Just bear with me.
So Riley, the lights there, the buildings down on sea level there, is there elevation, just to confirm while you got that Google thing open there, is there elevation 324 feet at sea level there?
352 feet.
No, the light I'm talking about the down on the sea level water, not those.
Which one?
The town that you see to the right of those down there.
Yeah. Are these what?
Minimum, they have to be a minimum at least 320 something feet.
Well, the lowest one I can see is probably that one, 206, and then these ones here, 264. That one there, 200. So 264 would be probably the one that you would probably see. Why do you ask?
Well, at your distance of 31 miles, right, and if your height is 34 feet, then nothing can be, visible.
It's 30
unless it's physically above 324 feet.
So the distance to the house.
That's with refraction. That's with refraction included. Without refraction, it would physically have to be at 397 feet to be visible above the water line.
Sure. So what I'm testing is these lights here at the minute. So 37.96 miles, and now at 35 feet. Gives them 519 feet of thingy, but they sit at an elevation of 345 feet. But relative to the evidence, look at how high they see. So at 300, what was that value? 300. Oh, hang on, it's on the Google Earth, isn't it? So these sit at an elevation of 300, call it 350 feet in elevation, and they sit above the water by that much.
I just want to clarify this. This is if we force the landscape to be a different scale so that it makes it easier for the globers to make the maths work. It is still massively hidden.
Yeah. Because even if these things were visible on a ball, right, it has to match the evidence and look at how much land there is underneath. Now, but again, this is not my position. This is their position as the concession. But this is their position as the concession. Look at all the land underneath. We see the horizon, we see the land. So if these are, according to Google Earth, 350 feet above the water, and they sit on a ravine of which there is not much height left on it, then that would seem to match the evidence. However, the waterline is above them because the refracted hidden value is 519 feet. So they only fit at 250. So 519 would be up here somewhere. The water level would be up here. It's double what we're seeing. That puts them into a whole heap of trouble.
Can I ask a few questions now, or should I
sure,
wait?
Go on, Renee. What can we do for you?
Yeah, that little hump left on the no, the other side. Sorry, right.
That?
Yeah. Have that been identified?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Could you please show me on Google Maps?
No problem.
Yeah.
There. So with regards to what I did was to make the point. You have to understand that this clump of trees that we're talking about, there is land that is here that is blocking out these buildings that are here. So if you were to imagine that there's a peninsula of land there that's blocking out what we can see, so you've got the tuft of trees, you've got ones that are in my position, big enough to be Douglas, and we have got obscuration by a peninsula of land that's here. We can see when we come down to this line that's here, and this is my position back in 77 ding ding. If you'd have watched 77 ding ding, you'd have seen this.
Okay, yeah, okay. Let's I just have to find it on my Google Maps too. So it's above Douglas.
Yes, sir. So you can see there's a clear line of sight to it. We see that there are the town of Douglas, or the
Okay,
capital city of...
I can mark it up later. Now, can I show my screen?
Certainly, sir.
We'll just start with Google Earth if I can find that. Well, because I have been looking at this, and I honestly believe that this patch of forest is.
We're just looking at a white screen, I'm afraid, Rene. Maybe if you can reload Google Earth, because it's just, for us, it's just a white screen.
Oh, sorry.
We see Google Earth, the application, but the screen that you've got, the application.
Sorry. Listen, I'll just go back and stop sharing.
Or perhaps give us the coordinates, and then we can bring it up on screen ourselves.
I'll share everything.
Okay.
Did you know that the Earth is flat?
Here we go. You've got it now. Perfect. It's a bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not.
Can you see it now?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's Baldwin is here. Baldwin is here. And just left of it, if you look north south, you can see there's a patch of forest that is very distinct.
Yeah.
It's just And if you look at the what do you call it? If you look at the elevation profile,
yeah,
it's down here.
Sure.
Yeah, and you can see right at the top, at the that's where the forest is.
But can you see that on the picture you've got that big town called Baldwin?
Yeah.
Can you show us on the evidence, because you've got the contrast image?
Unfortunately, I can't, because I can't see it on the evidence.
Well, that means it's wrong, Rene.
Not necessarily.
Sorry, Rene, I've got to just get you straight on this. You can't change the evidence. The evidence is the real world. So you saying Sly did that because you can't find it. Hold on, let me just get this out. I want to make it clear, Rene. Rene, I've not interrupted you. Rene, there's no need to interrupt me. Right? I'm going to make it clear. Like with Sly Sparkane, just because you can't find something doesn't mean it's not there. We have a photograph of the real world. Because you can't find it on Google doesn't mean that the photo's wrong.
Actually, what it means, Rene, is if you can't match it on Google with the evidence, you've got your identification wrong.
But Rene, Rene, finish what you were saying, because it would be interesting to see how you see it. Yeah.
Well, I can see it already. Because it's got the tuft of trees the wrong side. Baldwin's on the other side.
I know. I mean, I have three. Well, how many have against me right now? 4?
Sorry.
3, 4, 5 people?
Sorry.
No, you just have
against you. It's just
I'm not against you, Rene. I want you to finish. I want you to show so we can see how
we're not against you. But it's every time you come in, you have no evidence, and you're wrong.
Yeah, okay, I'll try but it's very difficult when you interrupt me. So
okay.
Can I get 5 minutes of my own?
Go ahead.
Sure.
Okay, good. I started in Google Earth by lining from St. Bees to the Mohole, the light tower, and I got this reading. I know it might be a little bit wrong because I took it from the wrong place, but all of these, Ballarat, Ballacanal, the forest, Baldwin, Douglas Head Apartment, and Langless.
Mm-hmm.
Then I found the differences from the lighthouse to each of the locations in degrees here. This is the differences. Then I made some blocks. I have to zoom a little bit out here so I can show you. I made these blocks down here where here you can see you got different blocks on top of each other. I'm sorry if I'm not fast
Take your
enough.
time, Vinny. Just
Thank you. Here, I made the long one here. Why is this not working? There, yeah, you can see this long here, down here. Can you see this with red and yellow and orange? Yeah. This, the red one, they are all starting at the same point down here. And this one is 1080 millimeters long. And this one is 937 millimeters long, corresponding to the degrees. Then I joined it all as one object. And then you can actually go in. Let's take this. Oh, sorry. If I take this one here.
You know, would you agree that what you're literally doing is one way of calculating the scale? Yes.
Yes, I'm calculating the scale, but if I can continue.
Okay.
Thank you. Now, this, no matter how I make the length of this, each of the blocks has the same, the ratio between the length is the same, no matter how I scale this.
Agreed.
Is that correct?
Agreed.
Okay, good. Now, let's go back to your drawing. So I placed this point here on the scale. That's the Molar lighthouse. And the opposite end is the Langley lighthouse. Correct? The difference in field of view between Molar lighthouse and Langley lighthouse is 10.83 degrees. Give or take a little. Do we agree on that?
Maybe. I don't know, because we haven't looked at this, but we'll carry on.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay, good. Now, I lined up one end of the scale at the Langley lighthouse and the other one at Molar lighthouse. Here.
Okay.
That means that whenever it changes color, there should be something. You can see Ballarat should be above here, in my opinion. But that's, let's just, and Ballarat should be up here. Then we have the forest here. Then we have Balladrin here. And then we have Douglas Head Apartments, which you actually have correct.
So what you're saying, actually, this is an interesting way of demonstrating it, and it's better than Rumpus's.
What was the one thing that you said you couldn't find, you couldn't locate?
I couldn't. Yeah, can I continue here? If you can see here, if you place Langley lighthouse where you say it is, then the angle of degrees between lighthouse and Douglas Head Apartments is correct. So, but the rest of the cities here, are we supposed to have Baldwin right above here with at the end of the purple? It's supposed to be Baldwin.
Ranty, are you watching this? Yes.
So you have a huge. So which block represents Balacanal?
Balacanal, that's the blue one. That's here.
So you're saying that you're saying that Baldrine is the really big long one?
No, I'm saying this is my first attempt at doing something. Then I scaled it differently, where I placed Balladrin. This is what you call Baldwin, right? This city here.
No, we call that Douglas, but the ballers call
No, that's Baldwin, Anthony. That's Baldwin.
There's a chance that you see.
There.
Sorry, I'll just. The reason there's slightly confusion based on the line of sight. There is a chance that you can see the tops of some of Douglas. So some of those lights, probably on the right-hand side of those cluster of lights, could be possibly the top of Douglas.
It's still
However,
headed at you have written Balladrin on it.
Yeah, the majority of the lights, the line of sight allows you to see Baldrine with the tops of Douglas poking out the top of it.
Good, but it still should be here. But then you can see Balacanal. That's correct. That's something you have nailed it. then that one is correct. But Ballarat is supposed to be right here. So I did a third time where I took this as the forest.
Mhm.
I know this. I know you won't agree with me, but just listen to me. Then Ballarat is actually spot on. This is what I will say is Bala Canal, and we can't see Balladrine. It's somewhere around here. The problem is right now that if I go out here, that this is where Douglas apartment, or Douglas Head apartment is supposed to be, right here. And Langley's Lighthouse is supposed to be right here. So that's where my trouble is
Well,
right now.
do you agree that when you look down the side of down the side of the island of the Isle of Man?
Yeah, but you still have the same field of view.
Right. So are you saying that you've not been able to line everything up on any of the slots?
I can line this one up here. I can line it up with what you got.
No, but you're saying
But
you're lining it up with that patch of trees.
What I will say it is.
Sure.
This is not. I don't think there's anything here where you say Bala Canal is. I don't think there's anything there. Bala Canal is down here. Is this city here?
That will be the baller's position. Okay.
Yes, I know. But that's my sorry, my throat is dry.
So what you're saying is that the scale for you believe that the scale is the way the ballers say, correct?
I would say that what we can see here is all Isle of Man, including this one here is also Isle of Man.
So that means then that you disagree with Ranty when Ranty shows the composite with the Google Earth overlay.
Up here, right? This one here.
Yeah. So what you're saying is that this is wrong.
Yeah. If that's what, if you want a clear answer.
Okay.
If you want a yes or no answer, yes, it's wrong.
But the problem with that
because
is that
these are supposed to be parallel.
The problem with that,
These
Rene,
lines here.
sorry, Rene. The problem with that is that
I assume these lines are taken from St. Bees, right?
Okay. Rene, do you see where your mouse is right now?
Yeah.
Do you see that on Google Earth that is go a little bit further to the left? On Google Earth, that's stop. You've gone too far. You're in the sea. Do you see how Google Earth doesn't give you any more land?
Yeah, but these lines here, are they from St. Bees?
Yes.
Okay, shouldn't they be parallel? Shouldn't they be straight down?
Here's your test.
Riley, do you know any good Flat Earth songs you could sing for Shroomy?
Hold on, P.
So here's the thing then. If you say that he's got these all lined up wrong, perhaps you could line it up for us correctly and show us where Ranty's got it wrong by doing the exact thing that Ranty's done there. You stretch the Google Earth to the scale that you say it is, and then show us it.
I'm not that good. Sorry.
That's the benchmark, though, Rene. I mean, what we've got above is towns marked out on Google Earth that have been looked at, investigated, and identified. Not only by... Hold on, Rene. I've given you a good 10 minutes. Rene, hold on. I've given you 10 minutes of babble. Just let me explain. So, those marks, those boxes on the top image in Google Earth are the towns that have been marked out. And then if you scroll up on your picture that you've got now... It's a very obvious match. The landscape matches. There's no two ways about that. Now you're saying, well, I can't match it as well as that. I'm not that good. Well, that is the benchmark that you have to exceed in order to convince us that he's got it wrong. So far, again, not so good.
Okay, Rene, perhaps if you're not good enough to do that, perhaps you could find somebody that in maybe Alex Geostrieber or the Rumpus. If you collaborate with them, maybe they will help you and do what that Ranty's done and line it all up that way. If you disagree with the way that Ranty's lined it up.
Yeah, I just
I'm not saying that you're wrong. I'm saying that I'd like you to measure it up against the evidence because that's what we did and we think it matches. If you don't agree, then perhaps you could do it for us better.
Well, to be honest, I really can't see it. I know it might look like it, but I think there's too many differences here in these two, in the top one and the bottom one, that doesn't match up. Some of the hills here doesn't match up.
Okay, so that's what you need to do. You need to go and make it like that. So, but show where Ranty's got the scale wrong.
That's what I got down here.
No, that's not the same. I want you to compare it to the evidence to show where Ranty's got it wrong. Not to compare it to yellow boxes and blue boxes and green boxes. That's not evidence. That's not acceptable. We want you to show, if you're right, you should be able to show how Ranty's got it wrong and line it up correct.
Okay, I'll try.
Because that is the benchmark. That's what we've done, and everybody understands it and can see at least that our position makes sense. Now, even if it is wrong, then you need to show it on the evidence, not with, like, Rumpus does it with maths, and you're trying to do it with coloured boxes. We want you to do it with the evidence.
It's also math.
You understand?
Repeat, please.
Rumpus tries to do it with maths. GeoStreamer tries to do it with bearings and pixels. You're trying to do it with coloured boxes. What we want you to do is line it up on the evidence and match it real world. If you can do that, then you may well be right. We may have it completely wrong. But if you can't do that, or don't for some reason...
Shout out to Tough to Trees. Joined presumably just a sniper.
Okay, listen. I'll stop sharing now.
Okay, but next time you come back in, can you have it the way that... See how Ranty's got it? He's got it compared to Google Earth so that it's really straightforward. If Ranty's got it wrong in some way,
well,
then you need to show it.
Join the call. How you doing, Sniper on deck?
Okay,
I know he's gone already.
Okay, thank you. I'll just stop sharing now.
Thank you, Rene. That was good.
Okay.
Not successful, but you know, you're putting a lot of work in, and for that I'm very grateful.
Yeah, but it doesn't add up. That's the problem.
Have I still got the other guests, or did Sniper on deck remove you all?
No, I'm still here.
Yeah, so, Ranty's been removed.
Oh, sorry.
Marvellous.
I haven't done anything.
No, not you, Rene.
So, because we can also... Can I ask a few more questions? About what other...
They've both been sniped now, Anthony and Ranty.
Anyone left?
Hello.
Hello.
I'm still here trying to hold down the place, but we'll see.
How you doing, Scotty? Can you hear us?
Hey, how's it going, mate? Can you hear me?
We can, yeah. Good to have you.
Yeah,
nice that a real person's here.
Yeah, but Nathan, I would like to apologise for my last efforts. I was quite smashed and I was swearing a lot, so I apologise for that.
That's all right. Don't worry about it.
Is this was?
Right, as you were.
Yeah. Okay.
Cool.
I'll just share.
Got another sniper going to remove people. One-stop gamers. Marvelous.
I'll just share one more time because I have a question about the north end of the Isle of Man.
Well, hang on. Let's just be clear, Renee. With regards to the south, if you think that Ranty's lined it up wrong, what you need to do is line it up so that you can show where Ranty's got it wrong.
I know that.
Not with the boxes,
but I also
though, yeah?
have a question about the northern part of the island.
Say again, you have a question about the... Well,
north
do you think it's wise... Hang on. Do you think it's wise to go to the north, which is very contentious, when we've not yet got the south sorted?
No, because then I can do both things. Then I can make some calculations on the both ends at the same time, and then come back with both ends. So
you can do that, but I'm still going to ask you to go back on the south.
Well, let's just let him ask his question. We haven't got a great deal of time left. Go ahead, Rennie. What's your question about the north?
Okay, I'll zoom in here. Okay, now it doesn't work. Oh, never mind. Can't make it work.
You've got plenty of time. We've got 20 minutes. Don't worry. You know, just let me know when you're ready. I'll take the screen off you. Just let me know when you're ready. Take your time.
here. Can you see my screen now?
Yep.
Okay.
I'll just hold on just 1 second. I'm just going to share it with the guys on Skype. Bear with me 1 second. Okie dokie. Everyone can see everyone.
Yeah. These two spots right here. There's only one spot. You said one spot was a plane, right?
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. That is the lighthouse. That is what you have identified as. I can just change to Google to this lighthouse here, right?
No. Anthony thinks he has identified it. It is highly contentious.
Okay, good.
What I said was it matches the profile of the land, and there seems to be a lighthouse in exactly the right place. Now, I'm not saying that it is. I'm just saying that it matches. So, in the absence of something on Isle of Man that matches it, then what the onus is now is to show something on Isle of Man that can match that.
Okay, this is the complete island, you can call it. So, is there any of this Isle of Man?
Before you answer, I'm going to say again, highly contentious. No one has proved it either way.
Good. Okay. Thank you. Sorry, I'm just asking.
No, it's fair enough.
No, it's okay. It's okay because it's so contentious,
here,
Renee.
Well, I will say this is part of Isle of Man.
I can agree to that.
Now you say, I know you're saying that we're not supposed to see it.
But I'm sniper, Sean G.
I will claim that we are seeing more in this picture that we are supposed to see on a globe Earth. But we are not seeing enough if it is a flat Earth.
Unless it's Ireland.
Okay, yeah. If you claim all this is Ireland, then we do definitely live on a flat Earth. No question about it.
Sure, but we would say that that's a 90-mile observation of Ireland, and at the other end of the island, you have a 145-mile observation of Ireland, which is intersected by Lagness Lighthouse and has been scaled perfectly and demonstrated to be those exact locations in those exact positions. So far, you've challenged that, but you've in no way come up with something that is more conclusively a better match. So, yes, we can argue all day about the north end of the island, which is considerably closer.
I'll show it on the Google Earth here.
Yeah, like I say, you're saying that would prove it's a flat Earth, but at the other end of the island, we have a 145-mile observation of Southern Ireland.
Here.
Yeah,
the top of this one here.
Yes, it could be. It could also be a mountain range in Northern Ireland.
But also on a ball that's behind the curvature of the Earth in any event.
Correct. But what I'm saying is nobody has conclusively determined what that is. Nobody.
Supposed to see. I will give you. I'll say you're right about that. We can see more than we're supposed to see. But I'm also saying that we should see more if it was a flat Earth.
Right, but this is a contentious part of the island which we have not said. We categorically know what we are seeing.
Okay.
At the other end of the island, just please, Renee, please, Renee. Renee, please.
Yeah.
So at the other end of the island, where you are now, Lagness Lighthouse has been identified, does match, does triangulate, and we have shown this and demonstrated it on multiple occasions, with no offence, much more sophisticated and accurate way of scaling the picture.
Okay.
So you're saying it would prove it was a flat Earth if we could prove that this bit of land in the north was Ireland at 90 miles. Well, frankly, even if you did, I wouldn't care, because the observation at the south is of Southern Ireland at 145 miles, proven by Lagness Lighthouse, which is evidenced in the image. Now, perhaps you can tell us what that lighthouse is if it is not Lagness. Show me what it is.
I don't know what it is.
We do. It's Lagness Lighthouse at the southernmost tip of the Isle of Man, intersecting
Renee,
Ireland behind it at 145 miles. We know what it is. We know exactly what it is.
What is, if you measured, if you measured how much degrees of field of view between this lighthouse here and this lighthouse here, what is that? Could you tell me that?
No idea. Chris has done it in obviously and observably flat. QED is the name of the video. This has all been demonstrated on multiple occasions. Type in flat earth QED into YouTube and watch any of the 3 or 4 presentations that have been done on exactly that by somebody with a scale model of both earth and a flat plane represented by a topological, is that the right word? Scan of the land, a LiDAR map. So we have done it in as accurate a way as is humanly possible.
Rene, if you're unable to identify the lighthouse, perhaps you could identify the 3 lights that are shown at the left-hand side of the picture, the ones that Rumpus has claimed twice that he knew exactly where they were and then realised that it didn't work. So if you're able to do that, perhaps you could show us where the 3 lights are.
And find big enough buildings that would relate to that, because you're not going to see a house at that distance.
Yes,
that's for sure.
Dodgy joining person.
Listen, I got some examination to do on this picture. On these
so is that a no? Is that a no then?
Yeah. The problem
Not
is,
right. I can't right now.
I can tell you straight away, Rennie. The reason your scale fails is because those 3 lights, when you scale it that way, need to be on the shoreline. They need to be. And when you put them there, you run out of elevation to the left. That's what happens at that scale. I've seen it with my own eyes. I've watched Chris Monk scale it that way. It fails. I know it does. That's why I was so content to push the Rumpus to examine them, and so was Anthony. Because as soon as he actually went back to the map, picked them on the map, and went back and put them back into the model, they're supposed to be on the shore. They're supposed to be right next to the shore if we're on a curved earth. And they're not. So the scale fails, and then you go back and go, maybe it's the wrong building. Now that's exactly what you did last time, and exactly what Rumpus did. I know why they did it. I know why you did it this time. The scale fails. It's not that scale. The scale is incorporating Northern Ireland at 145 miles and Lag Ness as depicted in the image we have on screen now.
Yeah, but if I'm measure the angle between the Langley's lighthouse and the other lighthouse, I'll get this scale here, the top scale.
Right, listen, Rene. The bottom line is this: if you think that Ranty's got it wrong, demonstrate on the evidence what the orientation of Google Earth should be, and then to check your work, we will ask you to identify the 3 lights that have got the arrow where it says Douglas Head pointing down the arrow. Those 3 lights, or Douglas Head Apartments, we will ask you to identify those 3 lights on your scale, and then we'll apply it to the Google Earth with you, with the evidence, and we'll see does it match. That's the challenge. That's what we will do.
Okay, listen, we are out of time now. I got one problem left to ask you. Douglas Head, where is the only... If I search on Douglas Head, I get a point right about here in the harbor. I honestly can't find Douglas Head.
Douglas Head is the end of Douglas. It's the point where Douglas Head is referred to as the rocks. Where can you see where the go in, a bit more in, go in a bit, or down a bit rather, like towards 7 o'clock. Go down down a bit more. Yeah, there.
Okay,
that's
this
Douglas
is Douglas Head Apartments. This one here.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yeah.
So the whole thing is considered Douglas Head. However, what gets dubbed the tuft of trees is just a patch of scrubland on the top that's just distinctive in colour, and the locals know what that particular patch of land is. They're easy to identify. And when we called it the tuft of trees to the guy who lives on the Isle of Man, he was like, "You realise there's no trees there?" And when he said, "There's a couple of trees, but it's not like a whole great big patch of trees. It's just a slightly discoloured bit of land that sits on the top that you can spot from out in the ocean, in the same way you can spot it from St Bees." So it's a very distinctive bit of scrubland that sits on Douglas Head. So while we call the tuft of trees Douglas Head's a whole... That whole thing you're on now is Douglas Head. You know, all the way,
Yeah,
all the way
it's
running
land.
down.
It's this one here.
It's,
Yeah, that's
it's
what
where
the
it goes
locals
down to
call
the sea.
Douglas Head is quite expansive.
Okay. Well,
So if you understand, if you say that Ranty's got it wrong, that's great, but we want you to show it on Google Earth. Now, when you do show it on Google Earth, we'll check it by asking you to identify the 3 lights. And when you identify the 3 lights, then
well,
we'll apply the
first of all,
rotation,
are you
the
sure it's
curvature of the
lights?
Earth.
Couldn't it just be 3 white buildings?
Yeah,
well, that's what
at
you-
over 35 miles away, they're going to be fairly large buildings. You know, at this point, Rene, just to let the audience know, what's happening is we're being joined just so that we can be muted while we point this out to you. That's what's happening right now.
Sorry.
Very sad.
Don't apologise. It's not you that's doing this. You know, we want consensus because it sounds to me like you're one of the few people that, should this be communicated well enough and you can see that we have got it correct, we aren't mistaken, the scale is the way we say it is, you may actually concede that we are seeing Ireland, Southern Ireland that is, at 145 miles. But until you change your scale to get it right, you won't see that, because as far as you're concerned, the entire image is incorporates only the Isle of Man, which is fine. That's how that scale works.
Yeah,
So
that's my opinion right now.
Sure, we've seen that scale be presented to us for about 25, 30 shows. So while that was happening, we had somebody in the sidelines, not us. You know, I'm not smart. I can't use CAD models. I certainly can't use Blender. But we put that scale in, and it was dead easy. While you're doing it with little blocks, Chris could literally physically move the curved rendering, because he'd literally taken Ranty's apart just to match it up. So when he did the presentations, he still uses what everyone else uses, but when he's been scaling it, he's gone to massive efforts. He's curved the composite around the field of view so that he can literally move that curved composite in and out to change the scale at will, and he can test any scale you like. So on either yesterday's or the day before's show, somebody came on and presented a new scale, and unfortunately the hangout had been sniped, and I'd changed the link that was shared with a few people, so he was using the old link and couldn't get in, but he was desperate to get in to say, look, here you go, here's the scale, I've just changed it on the fly to what you say it is, and this is where it fails. And in this instance, everything's hidden by Earth curve in this scale. Like, you shouldn't see any of it at all.
But if
And
the
of
world,
course,
if the Earth is flat, shouldn't we see all of it?
No,
Why?
because we can see in the evidence that there is a little bit of like refraction, like reflection on the horizon, and it's blocking out everything that's behind it. You can't see through it.
So this, if you can see down here, Morlo Lighthouse, just zoom right in here. This is supposed to be 45 meters below it, from the water and up to the lighthouse. Bottom of the lighthouse should be at least 40 meters.
And
the lighthouse itself is 23 meters.
the entire thing is obscured by Earth curve.
Yeah,
your model.
but if the world is flat, shouldn't we see more below the bottom of the lighthouse?
And if the world was curved, should it not be completely invisible to us?
Yes, it should.
Right, it isn't.
If you don't,
Let's just get this clear, Rene, just before you go on about how much of the beach is missing. In your model, right, it shouldn't be there at all.
No, let's stop talking about the globe model. Let's talk
Why?
about
That's
the
what we're
flat
here
Earth
for.
model.
Do you not read the title of the debate? Flat Earth debate? In your model
Yes,
that
I
you're
know.
saying it is,
I know.
Rene, the
Let's
whole
talk about
thing
the flat Earth
shouldn't
model
be
then.
there. Let's just get it clear. You're asking me about why there's water missing, right? And I'm going to make it absolutely clear to you. The entire thing is physically impossible to see on a sphere. Can't see
Yes,
it.
I know. Yes.
So why are you
Let's
asking me
talk
about a beach? You've got a
let's
much
talk
bigger
about
problem.
flat
Your
Earth
problem
model.
is huge by comparison.
I know.
It shouldn't be there at all, and you're asking me about why there's a bit missing. I don't know, Rene, maybe there was a bit of spray that day.
Nathan, I want to hear what he says. Rene, go on. What's your
I'm
issue?
just saying, let's talk about the flat Earth model instead of the globe Earth model. You don't believe in the globe Earth model? Okay, then let's talk about the flat Earth model.
We don't have a flat Earth model. You understand that, right?
No, I don't.
We don't have one.
Well-
Do you understand it now? I've said it twice.
Okay.
We don't have $50 million of budget a day to be able to formulate what we see. We just see stuff and we call it what we think we describe it as, because we don't have any terminology for the Earth being flat at all, because it's all based on the Earth being a sphere.
So we don't have a map. We don't
Correct.
know the shape
Correct.
of the Earth. We don't know where Australia is.
Correct. All we know is that there is no curve.
And with that, I'm going to say, first and foremost, a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of the live audience for tuning in and hopefully for sharing this show. And also a massive thank you to all of the debating panel for making this debate possible. Be sure to, if you've not done so already, like, comment, share and subscribe. I've been Nathan Oakley and I will see you all in the next video.